Okay, so we're going to learn another song from the Contraband records, a song called Set Me Free, Velvet Revolver. Matt wrote this song on a guitar. He got out behind his drums one day, and he was pissed off about something. And he said, I got a song. And he played this riff that, to Slash and I, my ears, it sounded really odd at first. It's like typical drummer guitar riff. But we wrote something to it, kind of maybe even to appease Matt like the first day, but we found that it was a great song, and it became our first single off of Contraband. It's actually a song that launched the band because we used it for, even before we had a name, we used it for the soundtrack of the Hulk movie, and that launched us. It's funny, I was thinking about the song, and just like Slither, I used distortion on the song interspersed in the song, and I guess I must have been getting kind of happy on the distortion pedal on the Contraband record. If you're playing along to the record, you're going to find that Slither is in the 440 tuning with a drop D, where Set Me Free, we usually play a half step down off of 440. So if you're playing the song and it's somewhere in between, just tune your bass down half step off of 440. All right, so Set Me Free is, we got it kind of a standard intro that Matt and Slash and I do. Slash will start to riff off on the guitar, and Matt and I will come crashing in on whatever the root note is, and which is an A in this instance. So I start on a high A up here. I like the high A here. You know, if you're playing high A in some other places, it's okay too. I prefer it here because it's the low A is the open A, and this A is so accessible if you're playing the high A here. So, again, so it starts off like this. And then the distortion. Okay, and then it goes into that's the verse riff and the intro riff. After the intro happens, and then the verse breaks down to just bass, drums, and the vocal. Distortion sounds great when it's just bass, drums, and a vocal. It fills up a record and fills up a stage, fills up an arena or a club or a theater. So, which is great. I'm going to play that verse riff a little slower, a lot slower. It starts in A. So I do it in open A, right? Second string. And I use a passing note open E string on this riff. It's something, or a passing note open strings is something, I use passing notes a lot, but kind of this open passing note thing is something that's become sort of a signature of my sound. It's a bad habit at first, and I just sort of went with it. In this case, it's an open E right in the middle of the riff. There's no right way or wrong way to finger any of these songs. If you're looking at my left hand and trying to figure out what the hell I'm doing and why I play it different ways every other time around, it's just something I do. And you know, as long as you can hit the right notes and make that note sing, it doesn't matter if it's the right finger that's supposed to be there or not. In my eye, you want to make it so it's the easiest you can play it, and that should be what dictates what your left hand does. So yeah, that is the opening riff and the verse riff of Set Me Free. In this song, you're going to find me start to flourish a lot more with Matt when he does drum rolls. Not at the beginning of the song so much. You'll hear me adding in things as the song goes along, and then by the end of the song, the out choruses, it's kind of that controlled chaos that I was talking about earlier, where Slash, Matt, and I are all kind of going off. But the reason I call it controlled chaos, you're not just playing to play. You're not just playing like bass runs so you can get in a lick. It's something that you know what Matt, you know what your drummer's playing, and you accent that. So yeah, we're gonna get into the chorus riff, which is pretty basic. The first chorus is only a half a chorus, which starts in D. Now that's again the passing notes to get back up to the D, which I use a lot, and I'll use notes to kind of hammer on too. That probably started because it was easier to play things that way, and it became a habit for me, and it actually became part of my sound, which is okay. The first, it ends on F, and then a passing note back into the, I use an E as a passing note back into the verse. So the first chorus ends on an F, passing note E, so that's how you get from a verse into a chorus, from a chorus back into a verse. I think I said on the verses I play with the distortion on, and you know it's just drums, bass, and vocal for the verse. And the distortion sounds cool when I think when you have just bass, drums, and a vocal. The distortion kind of fills up the sound on a record, and also on the stage too through a PA. So cool. We got the intro, first verse, first half of chorus. Second verse is just like the first. Okay. Second chorus is a full chorus. It's twice as long as the first. Again, it starts in D. Now it's going to turn around to G to C. If you notice in the first chorus, or the first part of every chorus, it goes D, B flat, C, G. Now when we get to a full chorus, it's going to do that the first time. Second time, it's going to go D, B flat, G, C. It's just turns around at the ends of the chorus phrases. We end the second full chorus on an F again, a high F, on the 8th fret. And here, I do and you'll hear that it's a kind of a percussive sound when I use it with my pick. It's something I've done kind of throughout my career as a bass player. This thing, whatever it is, it's something that was used a lot in Motown, and John Paul Jones used it a lot. Like he used this thing, whatever you call it, a lot. And Jamie Jemerson used it a lot, and I just picked it up from those guys, and yeah. So I use it throughout songs I've played or written over the last 20-something years. And I'm doing it with a pick and not my fingers, so it's lot more of a percussive sound, top endy sound. And I was telling you about the sound that I attained with a pick and these rotosound strings in my gear, and that's a great example of it there. Okay, so I start to add in flourishes is